Okay, let me start. Good morning. Thank you very much for coming here today. I'm Bong Chul Kim from Hankuk University of Foreign Studies of Korea. We'll take the very short ceremony of King ceremony, and from Professor Hee-Hong Kim, Director of the Jang Mon-ae Center of Excellence at the Hankuk University of Foreign Studies. Let's make a big hand, please.
Still some coming. Please close the door. Okay. Good morning again, Excellency, Ambassador Michael Aitro, Ambassador of the EU Delegation to Korea, Director General Dr. Ma Sang-yun of the Strategy of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Korea. We have also here many diplomats, deputy head of delegation, political counselors from Italian embassy, Poland embassy, and many others. Fellow faculty members, and also members of the Korean Society of Contemporary European Studies. We have also some students and many others. Good morning again. I'm very pleased to announce the very opening of the 2018 International Conference of the Hankuk University of Foreign Studies, Jang Mon-ae Center of Excellence. The topic today is NAPCR and EU East Asia relations. By NAPCR, we are intended to do Northeast Asia plus community of responsibility. So we are going to study this issue in the morning session. And in the afternoon, we are going to deal with the quite hard issue of the nuclear issues in the Korean Peninsula. In fact, the date of conference today was decided 3 months ago. By coincidence, the summit meeting is now currently is going on in Panmunjom in DMZ area. I think that they should cancel. But it was kind of happening. Jang Mon-ae Center, we for 3 years project, we are deal with the issue of 3 pillars of area. The first one is European global strategy, prepared in 2016, in the context of EU East Asia relations, therefore studying about comparative regionalism, but more recently, not just compare, but also inter-regionalism, therefore how these 2 regions to contact and what will be the concrete reactions, interactions might be happening. The second pillar of EU Center project is much more concrete on the issues of North Korea and nuclear issues. So how to make some peaceful procedure and confidence building in the region is a very important concern of the EU Center of our university. The last area is much more current issues of cooperation between EU and Korea, which might be such as migration and refugee issues, the gender equality, and also education, cooperation, etc. So, reflecting a little bit, because this year commemorating the 55th anniversary of the bilateral relations between Korea and the European Union. Looking back upon the past, when there was a 40th anniversary, there was a conference in Brussels between the KIEP, Korea Institute of External Economic Policy, together with European Institute of Asian Studies. But at that time, therefore, the 2003, the topic was much more centered on those trade and economic issues. There was one session of North Korea, but mostly trade issues. Then the 50th anniversary, 5 years ago, 2013, that was half a century of history. Therefore, there was a conference in Brussels again, funded by the Korea Foundation. Therefore, many of us went to Brussels to the conference. But at that time, the main issue was security, but either traditional or non-traditional. Therefore, I think that attention a little bit changed from the 40th to the 50th anniversary. Today, commemorating this 55th anniversary, you see here the logo prepared by both EU delegation and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Quite interesting logo, no? Between European Union and Korea. So, the EU Center of our university planning diverse activities to celebrate this particular meaning. Therefore, conference today, this the instrument of diplomatic strategy of Korean government, together with how you can help concretely to minimize the tensions and diverse dispute in this region. Therefore, I'm very much pleased to open this international conference, and many presenters from both Europe and East Asia came to our conference. I really personally extend my gratitude to those presenters and discussants. Many thanks, and we want to yield many fruitful results. Thank you very much.
Then I want to invite the Ambassador Michael Leitra from the EU delegation to Korea. Please make a big hand.
Well, good morning to everybody who has not been invited to go to the ceremony. We have found a good alternative. It's my pleasure to be here because I was just thinking when I started to come to what was called at the time NAPSI conferences. That was, I think, in 2014. We couldn't agree on 2014 or 15 when there was a big conference at KNDA. I gave a speech there, but it was very interesting. We started with a video greeting by then President Park. You could see it was very, very high on the priority list. Well, since 2014, time has passed. Things have changed, not only in domestic politics of Korea, but also internationally. And the proof is today. The two leaders will start talking soon, and I just before coming here watched the ceremony. It was a very nice welcome, shaking hands, going back, shaking hands, so everything was done perfectly for the media. So I hope that we'll also have a good talk about substance at the end of the day. Talking about substance. Well, I was reminded in preparing a little bit on a book, certain Nicola Casarini is the editor of it, Promoting Security Cooperation and Trust Building in Northeast Asia, the Role of the European Union. Very unpleasant conference in Rome, where we worked very hard. And So I thought it might be time to look back. It's always dangerous when you check what you have said, or even worse, written some time ago. So I took the risk and had a look. I'm quoting myself, I'm sorry. Conclusions. The impeachment of President Park has further endangered that NAPSI will outlive her presidency. However, striving to build trust and confidence will remain a crucial task for any future Korean government. As in the past, the name of the project might change, but the policy might remain valid despite or rather because of mounting tensions. Not so bad. The name has changed, and I'm grateful to Director General Ma, with whom I had some conversations, that the idea was maintained. If I flash back to 2014, I remember the comments at the time by North Korea on that meeting, that the warmongers and friends of the United States are uniting in Seoul to gang up against North Korea 4 years ago. What a contrast. And I think the purpose of the process, which should go on now as Northeast Asia Plus community of responsibility, should remain the same. Because it's very much about connectivity, about interconnectivity. That will be also the theme, one of the themes of the ASEM Summit, which the European Union will host in October in Brussels. But it's not only connectivity in the sense of infrastructure, where Korea is struggling because of that cordon sanitaire, which is North Korea. It's difficult to link up directly with the Eurasian continent, but hopefully these talks today will help to overcome also this infrastructure problem. But it is even more important than to work on the people-to-people dimension, the studies dimension, and that will remain crucial for the time to come. Because I think what we are witnessing today is just the beginning of a process. There will not be a quick fix by the evening of today, but we will have to see that the whole process is supported. And I think support for a process is crucial. That's what the European Union has tried to do. We have intensified our engagement with the Korean Peninsula over the last years. I don't walk you through many declarations and all that, because sometimes you might think this is just paper, but there were some visible signs. Only about a month ago, Foreign Minister Kang was invited to Brussels, and she had lunch with the EU foreign ministers to discuss about the situation on the Korean Peninsula. And only 10 days later, the Secretary General of the European External Action Service, which is the equivalent to a Vice Minister, came to Seoul to continue talks and to offer support. Support which was given also by President Tusk, who has addressed a letter to President Moon and wishing him all the best, and reconfirming that the European Union is ready to support the process if it should be necessary. So we can't do that alone, and it should also be broader. And it has always been one of the goals of this process, which has now slightly changed the name, also to engage civil society and academia. Because you cannot have a process which has no foundation. So in that sense, I'm looking forward that the parallel show here on the 36th floor will be a good and fruitful one, because we will need every support to come to a good conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Now, I want to invite Mr. Sang Yun Ma, Director General for the Strategic Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Korea. Please make a big hand.
Hello everyone, good morning. I'm Sang-Yun Ma, Director General for Strategy of the Foreign Ministry of Korea. It is my great honor and pleasure to be invited to this conference to talk about the multilateral cooperation and regional cooperation in Northeast Asia, and also about the relationship between European Union and Northeast Asia here. I'd like to extend my gratitude to the Hankuk University of Foreign Affairs, and especially the Jang Monnet Center for European Affairs and its chairman, Professor Kim Shi-hong, for making this very meaningful venue to talk about a very important subject. And I also thanks everyone who participate in this conference, and especially to the foreign participants who make a long trip to Seoul. Actually, I myself is a scholar who has been teaching and researching in the university for many years, and I've been working in the foreign ministry almost over 1.5 years now. And I still feel very much uncomfortable to make an official kind of remark in front of many audience. So I'd like to make my speech here rather informal and very brief. And I would like to share some of my thoughts about my experience as a Director General for Strategy, who is in charge of a Korean task, Korean policy to pursue regional cooperation in Northeast Asia. As I just indicated, the multilateral regional cooperation is one of my important tasks as a Director General for Strategy in MOFA. South Korean government, and especially MOFA, has been pursuing and proposed and pursued the diverse variety of regional cooperation proposals. And it's been, I think, more than several decades. And as Ambassador Reiter just mentioned, in the previous government of President Park Geun-hye, we have pursued NAPSI, which is the most recent program for regional cooperation. We all realize that our previous efforts has not very much successful in concluding, achieving some visible fruits. Nevertheless, regional multilateral security cooperation is the task that South Korean government cannot really avoid and cannot abandon. There are two reasons, I think. The first one is Korea is relatively a smaller power in Northeast Asia. Northeast Asia is the only region in the world that lacks multilateral cooperative mechanism. And moreover, in this region we have world's great powers. And the relationship between those powers are not always cooperative. Sometimes it is more of conflict-ridden, and tensions are sometimes very high. Well, U.S.-China, U.S.-Russia, China-Japan, well, we all know how their relationships are going. So sometimes Koreans are feeling that we are kind of a shrimp among the whales. But nevertheless, we are not really a shrimp. Korea is now a kind of a middle power which can shape the environment where we are living. And our aspiration in the region is to produce a more cooperative and peaceful regional environment in which not only Korea but also every country in the region can prosper together with other nations. So as a middle power in the region, Korea wants to continue our role in promoting the cooperation in the region. That is the first reason I just like to mention. The second reason for Korean governments to continue this regional cooperative initiative and task is precisely the North Korea. North Korea is a challenge for Korea and also the region and to the world for many years, for many decades. The Korean Peninsula remains the only island of the Cold War. Cold War was over many decades ago, but the Korean Peninsula was an exception of that end. So, Korean Peninsula, well, how to bring about the end of the real Cold War in the Korean Peninsula is about how to approach North Korea, how to bring North Korea into the international society again. I think is the major task that Korean government has been pursuing, and also that every country in the world has a great interest. Well, as you all know, today is a very historic moment of in the Korean Peninsula and the region. As you know, President Moon is meeting with North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un in Panmunjom. Perhaps, if not this conference, I and probably you are watching TV to see how things are going in Panmunjom, what kind of result will be brought up there. Well, it is a great contrast, I think. Only a few months ago, we've been hearing the news of North Korean provocation, firing missiles and testing nuclear devices, and also words of sanctions and also words of taking military options even towards North Korea. So we've been staying in the very heightened tension in the Korean Peninsula even a few months ago. But things are rapidly changing since the Winter Olympic began in Pyeongchang. That was taking place in February. And now we are witnessing a very historic third North and South Korean summit meeting. Of course, this is not the end, and this summit will lead to another summit meeting, especially between North Korea and the United States. Well, we all wish that today's summit and the upcoming summits will be very much successful. And with that regard, I think our discussion today is quite important. President Moon Jae-in recently talked frequently about the establishment of the peaceful system in the Korean Peninsula, and also about the establishment of the multilateral cooperative regime in Northeast Asia. I think, and everyone knows that the multilateral security mechanism, which is lacking currently here, is very important in guaranteeing the security of the North Korean regime. And without giving that kind of feeling of safety, sense of safety to North Koreans, it is quite difficult to achieve denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula and also North Korea. For that reason, I think that today's discussion and our task of pursuing Northeast Asian platform for peace and cooperation is all the more important. As I just mentioned, we did not really expect this kind of rapid changes in Northeast Asia and in the Korean Peninsula when I was given the task of NAPCR and a PCR and Northeast Asian Platform for Peace and Cooperation a year ago. But we are now given a new impetus and new motivations to pursue the Northeast Asian regional cooperation with a greater sense of importance. So here we gather to talk about the Northeast Asian regional cooperation and also cooperation between the EU and Northeast Asia. European Union, as we all know, is the most successful examples of regional cooperation. And also, not only the European Union, but also OSCE process gives us great inspiration in pursuing the regional cooperation in Northeast Asia. Despite some differences in conditions that Northeast Asia and European Union is located, I think the examples and lessons that we can draw from the European experiences are pretty important in pursuing the regional cooperative initiatives in Northeast Asia, and especially for the Korean government. I hope we can discuss these important matters today with greater sense of importance. And I would like to listen to many good insights and wisdoms from the experts and from the audience today. I hope great success of today's conference, and also thanks again to you all and to the Jang Monnet Center of the Hankuk University of Foreign Affairs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ma. Now the opening ceremony is over, except the photo time. Right. Let's make the photo.
Presenters, discussions, welcome forward. It's a must. 마지막 좀 이쪽으로 좀 봐요. 두 분이 이쪽으로 보시겠어요. 현수막 가운데 맞습니까? 이쪽으로 가세요.
네, 한
엄청
찍겠습니다.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will start the first session. Today's event consists of two sessions. Step, please prepare the first session.
Intellectual